Supervive's matchmaking system is killing the game. It is the most complained about topic, bar none. And yeah, that's including Brawl. That abomination. Every time I stream, new players come into my chat and tell me how bad it feels that they have to go against me when they have tens of hours in the game. These are players who are silver, gold, maybe even day one players to the game. Yet they have to go match against one of the top players in the scene. And that's what I'm playing on my main. It is easily the most talked about topic on the Discords and subreddits, yet TC has only made one change to even help it so far, which they ended up reverting. Let's talk about the matchmaking issues and how TC needs to address them before they end up killing their game. While there are many issues with supervised matchmaking, the first and probably biggest one has to do with legend players. As it stands, a majority of legend players are stacking together in order to gain elo, meaning that they're queuing as 3 or 4 players of an entire legend team in order to go against an entire lobby. These lobbies are currently consisting of gold and silver players, so you have a team of 3 to 4 legend players who are running entire lobbies of gold and silver players, which is absolutely unacceptable. The fact that even one legend player can get in a game with golds and silvers, who are players who have barely any hours in the game, is an issue in its own right that we'll talk about in a little bit, but the fact that they can do this while stacking up with their friends as 4 players is absolutely ludicrous to me. As a legend player, I have the ability to absolutely destroy these gold and silver player teams completely on my own. I can 1v4 these guys. What do you think happens when you have a team with 3 to 4 of those players getting in these lobbies with entire gold and silver teams? Yeah, that's right. They have no chance. They are doomed from the get-go. Other games solve this by making it so when you hit a certain rank, you have a matchmaking restriction. However, when Supervive implemented this, they actually decided to revert it. The TC devs have stated that the intended effect of removing 4 stacks and having only duos didn't have the results that they wanted. That means that lobbies are still getting run over. But one thing they don't realize is when they implemented this, it was at the very start of the game, meaning that the alpha testers, who had literally 100 times the hours of any other player playing the game at the time, were the ones running the lobbies. Now, as people have been playing the game more and more, duo queues of legend players aren't going to be as big of an issue and would solve a lot of the matchmaking discrepancies you see inside of these lobbies. The footage you're watching in the background is me, a legend player, playing on my own in solo queue against these other gold, silver, diamond players, whoever are in my games. Do you really think if there were 4 of me doing exactly what you see on the screen right now, that would even be remotely fair? Probably not. Theorycraft needs to revert this restriction. You need to have a restriction on legend and GM players being able to stack with each other, at most capping it at a duo. As it stands, it creates an unfun meta for both low and high elo players. Low elo players get run over by legend players who are just trying to acquire elo, and legend players don't get to have any skill expression throughout the game whatsoever because anytime they mess up, they just get bailed out by one of their legend teammates. This makes it so new players can't learn to play the game. It makes it so the rank system is a complete joke because all it is stacking in order to gain elo. Because all it means is that you stacked to gain elo and you ran over the new players, which is the opposite of skill expression. And if your goal is to have a competitive rank system, which I'd imagine pretty much every single rank system in the world is, this is pretty unacceptable. Speaking of uncompetitive, that leads into another issue with the matchmaking. Did you know that unranked players can play against ranked players? That is, if you are queuing for the unranked game mode, you match into players who are queuing for ranked. If you're a new player wondering why you're getting run over so hard in those unranked lobbies as you were starting the game, you're probably against players who had 50 to 100 hours of playtime as a brand new player. And without your knowledge, you're being thrown into the pits of rank as you are queuing unranked. While yeah, you're not losing anything because you're not losing elo, you're still going to have an unfun experience, and that seems to be what's driving away players from Supervive. There is no reason why players who are trying to learn the game should have to go against people who are sweating their asses off in ranked queues. And there's also no reason why people who are playing ranked queues should be going against players who are queuing unranked. How is it even possible for someone who is trying to play the competitive game mode to go against someone who is literally for funning it in unranked, trying to learn how to play the game or testing out stupid builds? It is the opposite of competition and one of the biggest issues I have with Supervive currently. If their goal is not to have ranked be a competitive system, that's fine, but then why even have ranked be like that in the first place? And why is it not apparent to people that when you're queuing up for ranked, you can queue into unranked players, and vice versa? Honestly, as I'm saying this out loud, it sounds like the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of. Imagine this. You're playing League of Legends, you queue up normals, and you end up against a diamond player trying to sweat their ass off because they're playing in promos. How does that even make sense? That's not a system I want to participate in as the diamond player. That's not good for me. That's not a system I want to participate in as the unranked player. I just want to play to have fun. It neuters both the fun aspect of the game and the competition aspect of the game too. So you're screwing over both sides with this. This needs to be changed immediately. unranked players cannot be queuing into other ranked players. And ranked players cannot be queuing into unranked players, or you're ruining the competition of the leaderboard. This ties into the next issue of the matchmaking range, which is way too big. I've been playing games on my solo queue only account, which is currently in Masters, and I am getting bronze and silver teammates on my team in Masters. Masters is an elo that should be considered pretty good, which begs the question, if a new player is queuing up ranked, which new players are in bronze and silver, how are they even anywhere near my games? Why are they able to be on my team where neither of us are going to have a fun experience? One, because I'm going to have to babysit them, which is not what I play ranked for. And on their POV, they're not going to have fun because they're against other sweats like me who are in Masters, who have an idea of what they're doing, that are going to roll them over anytime they get in a fight. Earlier today, I had a silver player in my game, which, and I don't blame them for this, did 100 damage in my game. They're a silver player. I don't expect them to do well in my game. In fact, I expect them to not be in my games because that doesn't make any sense. It's not their fault that they're in my games. Theorycraft, this is something you need to address. Why is a silver player in my game when I'm in Masters? That is a player who is only going to do 100 damage on the game and is just going to get run over. They're not going to learn anything from that. What do you expect from that interaction? I'm going to get soured from the game because I have a 100 damage teammate on my team. They're going to get soured from the game because they got absolutely rolled with no counterplay from players who know how to press their buttons. It's fun for literally no one. So why is it even a thing? I feel like this is kind of a wild video to make because I feel like these changes are the most obvious things in the universe. I don't even know why I would have to say that unranked and ranked players shouldn't be in the same game. I don't know why I would have to say that people at the top rank should not be allowed to stack together, especially if they're going against lower ranked players. I don't even know why I have to say that bronze players should not be in legend games. Yet here I am saying these things. Theorycraft, you need to get your shit together. I'm okay with things like Brawl being imbalanced. You've tried your hardest to nerf him quite a few times. He's been nerfed pretty heavy-handedly the last 2 to 3 patches. It's not like we haven't tried to nerf that character. But matchmaking, you haven't even tried to address. And if anything, it's probably the biggest issue with the game right now. It is driving more and more players away from the game. And it's almost driving me away too. I love this game. I enjoy playing Supervive every day. I stream it every single day. Yet I play in these games against bronze and silver players that I don't want to play. I don't want to beat up on new players. That's not enjoyable for me. I don't want to play with new players. That's also not enjoyable for me. And yeah, I can understand if you're saying that the player base is having issues right now, and so you need to make matchmaking a little bit more broad. That's something you should be telling the players then. And it's also something that maybe you should cater towards the newer players of the game rather than the veterans who are going to be running over those new players. Maybe you should be telling the veterans, the people who are in Masters, GM, Legend, or whatever, that these players have to go play custom games, or maybe they have to go play Arena for a while so the new players can catch up. Or you can not. And you can let the Legend players continuously run over the new players in this game and kill what little player base we have left. Anyway, obviously kind of a rambling video, but I wanted to get my thoughts out there and make it clear that the matchmaking system needs to change. I stream daily, which you can check out at twitch.tv/Rhinne. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already for more Supervive content, and until next time, take care.